It's such a big part of baseball, restocking the system. Who's going to be the next big star? And that's really what happened this past week as each team tried to find that diamond in the rough, that great next player that is going to lead their team to the promised land. It's the Major League Baseball draft. A little bit of an inexact science. And what we're going to do is we'll throw back to Bob Lorenz, Jack Curry, and John Flaherty to talk about their experience with the draft, particularly Flaherty, because Lorenz and Curry, they never got drafted.
Thank you very much. Now, I want to get some thoughts first on the emotions of being drafted. Obviously, Jack and I were not. You were. What did that mean to you? And then what did you start thinking right after that?
Well, I mean, the excitement is immediate. You know, for me, I was told I was going to be drafted a lot higher than I ended up being, a 25th round draft pick. So there was a little frustration right at the beginning. Then you start negotiating a minor league contract, and the excitement comes back on where you stack up against all the other players in the country. You're dreaming of the big leagues, but the reality is I want to get on that first minor league field and see how good I am and how I stack up.
And so many players who get drafted never make it to the major leagues. It's such an honest fact. I go back to 1991, 1992. Brian Taylor selected #1 by the Yankees. Everyone thought he was going to be a great left-handed pitcher in the major leagues. Never made it because of a shoulder injury. The next year, they select Derek Jeter. He's the 6th pick overall, the first Yankee pick of that season, and we all know what kind of career Derek Jeter had. So you watch all of these guys and see where they might end up, but it's no guarantee just because you're drafted that you're going to be a major leaguer.
Oh, guys, we're going to break down the 2015 draft for the Yankees in just a second. But first, I want to get back to Joe and get Joe's thought process on not only the draft, but what it means for these players.
Bob, the one thing that I've realized about the draft is it's not an exact science. There's so many factors that go into it, and some of it's luck, not getting hurt. You know, obviously you hope your draft picks move very quickly, like a Jacob Lindgren did, who only took a year to get to the big leagues. But my experience was a little bit different because I was studying for finals and taking finals the week that I was drafted. So my focus was in 2 places, and I couldn't wait to get out of school and get started.
How did you find out you were drafted?
I got a call on the phone, and the Cubs called me and told me they had taken me in the 5th round, and obviously that was my boyhood team, so it was a huge thrill.
All right, now the Yankees made some impressive picks. People around baseball thought they did a good job. Now, back to you, Bob, to tell us exactly what they did at the top of the draft.
Let's break this down, guys, this draft. And 2 college pitchers, 1 college shortstop selected in the first 3 picks. The 16th overall, James Caprillion out of UCLA. Are the Yankees looking at this as maybe second year in a row they can get a Jacob Lindgren type pick?
They would love that, Bob, because Lindgren obviously made it to the major leagues less than a year after he was drafted. I think with Caprillion, they think that they have that kind of pitcher, a guy who could be on the fast track to the major leagues. 6'4", 200, throws a fastball in the low 90s, but he's also got a curve. He's also got a slider. Changeup is probably his 4th best pitch, but it's something that he can work on. I watch his motion, and I see a little bit of Kevin Appier, who had a very nice career as a major league pitcher.
All right, meantime, that 2nd pick, it's the compensatory pick for David Robertson and losing him to the White Sox. And they go with University of San Diego shortstop Kyle Holder. Now, Holder was the West Coast Conference Player of the Year.
Well, obviously a good athlete Holder is, and anytime you're a shortstop on a major college program and a first-round pick, you are going to be an outstanding athlete. And organizations talk all the time. He's a shortstop now. We don't know where he's going to project. You can move to 2nd. You can move to 3rd. The one thing they like about him, hitting from the left side, puts the ball in play, has a little bit of pop, but they like his offensive game and his defensive game as well.
All right, and then, guys, finally, 3rd overall pick, 57th for them was the left-handed pitcher Jeff Degano out of Indiana State University. So a college pitcher. Then, Jack, their next pick was a high school pitcher. And at that point, you're really starting to rely on the work that you've done and sort of the research on all these players.
It's such a difficult process, Bob, because you're sometimes having to grade a 17-year-old high school player against a 23-year-old college player. I said sometimes, it's most of the time. You have to decide, are we going to go with the high school player here, or maybe do we want to go with the guy who's closer to the major league level? And we just discussed those first 3 picks. The Yankees did go the college route for the first 3. They had success with Lindgren last year. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're leaning in that direction.
You know, when you talk about these high picks, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, I mean, every scout in the country knows they're going to be a good player. It's the players who are drafted later, like the 5th to the 15th round. That's when you find out about your scouting department. That's when you look back in a few years and say, you know what, we had a couple of nice high-round draft picks, but we had a couple of nice middle-of-the-round guys.